Okay, so it's red on the screen right now. We're down about 6 points on the Nifty, 10,474. 30 odd points off on the Sensex, and the broader markets are a bit under pressure as well. But it's been ranged. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Trading Hour. I'm Prashant Nair. With me is my colleague Ekta Batra. I mean, for the big dip that we saw overnight in global markets, it's actually a pretty good outcome in that sense. The market sold off about 100 points on the Nifty yesterday, and then it was followed through with some brutal selling in US. The only good thing in that sense from the sell-off that we saw was that oil prices were depressed. I mean, they were looking like they were inching higher, and they're back under 70 on Brent. And that's the silver lining. But, I mean, even keeping that aside, after a 600-point fall on the Dow, 5-point change down on the Nifty, flat markets, I mean, as I said, I don't think one should expect more, especially given the global backdrop. Ekta, morning.
Hi, Prashant. Yes, absolutely. But we have a lot of stocks to reckon with in today's trading session as well. So, for example, Tata Motors stands out. That stock has lost quite significantly in 2 trading sessions, so down around 7.8% at current reckoning. Sun Pharma, which is weak ahead of its numbers, so down 3% for that one. A couple of these NBFCs/private banks are losing a little bit of steam as well. So, IndusInd Bank and Bajaj Finance, which are down today. And from the broader markets, we were talking to the Wockhardt management. That stock is down around 6 to 7%, and a couple of others which stand out include something like a Quick Heal, which is down 5.7%, Nalco, which is also reacting to numbers, and Vodafone Idea, which comes out with its numbers tomorrow, is weak ahead of that. Aurobindo Pharma, nothing really averse in terms of the numbers, but that stock down 3% as well. So a lot to discuss over the span of the next 1 hour, but let's get going in terms of the technical strategies that we have today. So Darshan, hi, morning, over to you then. What are you recommending? One on the Nifty, as well as in terms of specific stocks.
Yeah, good morning. Well, the Nifty is in a trading range even after yesterday's decline, but my sense is that the trading range is likely to break on the downside. So my recommendation is to go short in the Nifty and in the Nifty Bank at current levels. We have to keep wide stops, first because volatility is high, and second because the trading range itself has resistance only at 10,600. So 10,600 is your stop loss for the Nifty short position, and of course things may change later, but to just as of now, go short in the index. Individual stocks are offering buying and selling opportunities both. Look at Dr. Reddy's to buy. We have already heard how Sun Pharma is tanking ahead of numbers. I think this will dissipate this mild decline once the results are out. Dr. Reddy's is a buying opportunity, and so the rest are short selling ideas. I do think that the markets will slowly and steadily slide down. So Shriram Transport Finance is a short sell. I'm downbeat on NBFCs in general, and CanBank from the PSU banking lot is also a short sell. So 2 short selling ideas from finance and Dr. Reddy's from pharma as a buy.
Sudarshan, is this move on Yes Bank behind? I mean, it's not selling off, but it's kind of stalled.
It's stalled, but the problem with Yes Bank is that it's a very speculative and high volatile stock as of now. So, and it's, I think, driven also by news and maybe by large, so-called operators. So I would like to stay away from it.
Okay. All right. Well, we have a couple of Twitter queries for you, Sudarshan. First is Shashi wants to know if Aditya Birla Capital is a good buy at current levels, price levels, and what is your view?
Well, it's not a good buy at any price level. So at least please do not buy at the current level. At the most, the first support levels are 90 rupees. If it comes to 90, then it holds 90 rupees, which means the support doesn't break. And if you still want to buy it, then that's the point where you should enter, not now.
Okay, and we've got one more question. There's one Rani Ramdas who's written in. He's got 100 shares of Glenmark at about 707 rupees. That's the cost. He wants to know whether to hold or sell. Price is about 650 now. Sudarshan?
Oh, Prashant, this is an easy one. Hold on. You want to buy good quality pharma and you want to hold on to them and then wait patiently for 2 years and get your rewards. Hold on, be a long-term investor in pharma and just stay there.
Okay. All right, Sudarshan, we'll let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in. But do remember, viewers, you can tweet your questions to @CNBC TV18 News and @CNBC TV18 Live with the hashtag #CNBC TV18, and our technical experts will advise you on your investments.
Okay, so that is the Q&A right on the top of the show with Sudarshan. 16, 17 points off, 10,464. As I said, there's been this 15-point up move, 15-point down move without any real significant direction so far. Well, let's talk about a few stocks which are actually moving around. PSU Bank stocks are reacting to weak earnings. We've got UCO Bank and Bank of India, which are down in trade. We spoke with the Bank of India management a little earlier. Abhishek Kothari is here to quickly wrap up the numbers for us. Abhishek.
Well, to begin with, Prashant, UCO Bank has reported a net loss of close to 11,300 crore over the last 12 quarters. So if you look at the net loss was at 1137 crore, and that compares to about 634 crore in the previous quarter, which means that the net loss is increasing. The losses are also denting the capitalization of the bank. Now, remember, when the recapitalization did happen, UCO Bank was the biggest beneficiary. Today, it is the weakest capitalized bank amongst the PSU banks with Tier 1 ratio at just 5.6%. The gross NPA, both in absolute value as well as percentage-wise for UCO Bank, remains elevated. For Bank of India, it's a disastrous results that has been happening over the last 13 quarters. So you look at the last 13 quarters from Q2 FY16 to Q2 FY19, the bank has seen a deposit decline of close to 13,000 crore, advances declined by 41,400 crore, while cumulative slippages of more than 1 lakh crore. Now, that has dented the profit of the bank. And if you look at the total slippages of 1 lakh crore plus, it forms about 26% of Q2 FY16 book, or about close to 30% of Q2 FY19 book. The cumulative losses on account of elevated slippages have been at 14,900 crore. The government is bearing the brunt of these losses as the bank has tax write-back of close to 6,500 crores. Back to you.
Okay, all right. Well, reeling under pressure now for Bank of India. But thanks, Abhishek, for that. The other stock in focus which is reacting to what has been a dismal quarter is Quick Heal. That stock is down around 5 to 6% Reema is here with all of the highlights. Reema.
Hi, Ekta. Thanks so much for that. Well, it's been a disappointing quarter for Quick Heal. It's a seasonal business, so we're looking at the September revenue growth numbers. And for the last 3 years, you can see there's hardly been any growth. So revenues have been hovering in that band of 105 to 110 crore. If you look at the EBITDA, the absolute EBITDA, that's been flat for the last 2 years, around that 60 crore mark. And profits this time around are actually lower compared to the prior year. So that's been the problem. There hasn't been any growth for the company, at least in the last 3 years. Coming to this quarter in particular, the receivables have gone up. So the receivable days stand at 123 days as of September end versus 112 days that it had at the end of March. And the other problem is that the company gets, a very large portion of its revenues from the retail market, nearly about 80%. They have been saying since the IPO days that they want to focus and increase the contribution from the enterprise as well as the mobile segment, but that hasn't yet, picked up pace. So if you see the enterprise and the government contribution for the last couple of quarters, it has been hovering in the band of about at least 19 to 25% for the last 3 quarters, while the mobile contribution in terms of the security services that they provide or antivirus is actually less than about 1%. So net, it's been a disappointing quarter for Quick Heal.
Thanks very much. Appreciate the details. That is Quick Heal down about 6%. I mean, actually, it's off the day's low a little bit. We are going to focus on another stock which is going down, which is Tata Motors. I mean, Tata Motors had this bounce, but that bounce has all but disappeared. The latest numbers were the JLR sales numbers. So from 2 days back, the stock was at about 201 rupees. It's back under 180 now. Ashwin Patil is joining us right now. He's with LKP Securities, Trax Autos. Ashwin, thanks very much. Another 3.5% cut. Your sense on the stock from here? I mean, some would argue and say that maybe it's pricing in the worst, but one would have thought, one would have said that when the stock was at about 165 and then it bounced all the way to 200. It's getting back to those levels once again, the recent lows. Your sense?
I think that the numbers which came out yesterday, the global wholesale sales we were expecting similar kind of numbers because nothing significantly or incrementally great was going to happen in this month, because we were knowing that China is really under pressure of the tax regime over there and the trade war which is happening with the US, and also if you see in the European continent is not doing well. So, there are multiple levels which are affecting the performance of the company, particularly JLR. And hence, we have seen in this month, particularly JLR total sales have gone down by about 6%, Land Rover by about 8%, and Jaguar is just flattish at about 1% growth. So, this, and also one thing we need to say that the CJLR numbers are, at their lowest since the inception of this particular JV, at about 2,300 units. So, that's clearly showing that Chinese region is, really under pressure. So I think that, taking an overall holistic view of the stock at this point in time, I think, yes, there were some expectations that the stock would be, the business would be performing well in this month, and the results were also not that bad, and that had resulted into, jumping up of the stock, particularly
the big question that everybody is asking is that, do you see a recovery in Tata Motors at all? I mean, it's currently at 180, 179, 180. A lot of people have bought into the stock at over 400 levels, which we saw at the start of the year. So what would you recommend? What's your target price? What's your outlook, say, for the second half?
That's what I was coming to. So I think that with the pressure that the company is seeing currently, for at least 1 or 2 quarters, when the Slovakian numbers come into play, and also some recovery on the new launches we may see, and as guided by the management, some improvement is expected in China as well. So going forward, I think that it will take at least 1 or 2 quarters more before we see a real uptick in the stock. And then only we'll be in a position to say that it's really a great buy from those levels. But from these levels also, I would say that it's a buy with a target close to 300 from our side. But one needs to buy with a caution. There is nothing great to enter in this stock at this particular time, because relatively better stocks are there in the auto pack. We like Ashok Leyland, we like M&M, also Maruti and Bajaj Auto are also looking
just
good
on that point, Ashwin, before we let you go, Ashok Leyland is coming out with numbers today. So what is your expectation?
Ashok Leyland, with about 27% volume growth that we have seen in this quarter, we may see some sort of negativity on the realizations, because the discounting will be high in this quarter. But still, the top line is expected to grow close to about 23 to 24%. And if you talk about the bottom line, the margins will be close to about 10.5 to 11%. And bottom line also, there will be a growth close to about 15%. So we are expecting good numbers from Ashok Leyland's pack, and the CV cycle is expected to continue well in the coming quarter as well.
Okay. All right, Ashwin, we're going to let you go on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and talking to us. So that's on